Okay, hi again, everyone. Once again, it's Emma here at Function Point in Vancouver. Thanks so much for joining in today. And Mark, I think I've got you on the line with me as well today, yes?
Yes, you do. Can you hear me okay?
I can now. Yeah, you were fading out a little bit there, but Mark's going to be my co-pilot today. So thanks for that, Mark, and answering your questions as they come in. So please do be encouraged to ask questions. Then, Mark, of course, just interrupt me if I'm going too quickly or you can't see something I'm trying to show or a question comes in that's pertinent to what we're going over here today. Excellent. So today we're going to be doing just a little walkthrough of some features that were released late last week. And I've just got a couple of slides to go through here and then we'll get the show started. So again, your hosts today are myself and Mark. We're going to go for probably no more. I wouldn't think no any more than half an hour today. Don't have too much to review and hopefully it's pretty straightforward, but we can go longer as needed. And the agenda, we're just going to do a little walkthrough of the updated pages for finding data in your system. And then I'm going to just do as well a little look at how the job and project level financials have changed slightly as well. Okay, so let me just get my system up here for you. I'm just going to log into Function Point shortly. Let me just get a tab open. I'll bring that over in a moment. Okay, so I'm just going to bring over, and I'll change the sizing here a little bit as well. I admit I've become very used to being the co-pilot on these and not the presenter, so apologies if I'm a little rusty with my presentation here, everyone. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and log in to one of my test environments here. And from here, just want to go through a few examples of how those find pages have changed. And I think they're a really huge improvement. A lot of what we've changed have been things that people have been asking for. And hopefully everyone on today's calls had a chance to look and see and explore this a bit themselves. Okay, so I thought I would start with companies. So usual routine, hovering over companies and choosing find company is going to bring me into this company find page. So it does look a little different than it used to. We now have over on the left all these different search criteria that you can use. And our calendars over on the left now used to be on the right. And then we have all our fields by which we can search. Now, one little change is that custom fields, if you have put any custom fields into your system, they're now down at the bottom here for you, which makes them much easier to use. And as before, if you just want to find every company in your system and you don't want to narrow down your search at all, you can certainly do that just by hitting Find Companies down in the bottom here. So that's going to bring up all the companies in my test system here. Now, I'm going to get usual layout of information, but what I can do now, not only as it was before, I should backpedal here, you can still print this up in a PDF or export as a CSV, but there is this additional button here now to manage the columns. And this is really, really great. So in this Manage Columns view, I can decide what information I want to show on my list view. So maybe I don't want to show company type, maybe I do. Perhaps I want to include who the account executive is. Perhaps I don't want to show fax number, but do want to show city. So I can choose from amongst all my standard columns here. I can also choose from amongst any of my custom fields if I want to include those in my list view. The other thing I can do is I can drag and drop to change the order in which that information appears. So perhaps I want the phone number field to show after the web, the edit option to show last, maybe the account executive to show up here right after the company. And when I'm ready, I can just click Save Columns. I'm in Firefox today, so I get this little message just asking if it's okay to resend the information. And now I've got all that information in a very different order ready for me to use, again, to print, export to CSV, and that function that was there before where if I want to change the sort order by clicking into any column header is still here as well. So if I click into the company column header, the little arrow shows me it's sorting by company name now. If I click it again, it reverses the sort order. So that's a little bit about companies. Same is true if we were doing a contact search. Well, actually, before I keep prattling on here, Mark, check in with you. Everyone so far so good? Anything that you think I should point out before leaving the company area?
No, I think you covered everything well. No questions have come in as of yet.
Okay, cool. Well, just feel free to interrupt. Otherwise, I'll keep checking in. Let's pop over and say we're looking for contacts instead. So again, hovering over contacts, choosing find contact. Again, I've got additional search tips in the calendar over on the left. Can search by any of the parameters and criteria here. And my custom fields I can search for down at the bottom. If I just want to find all the contacts in my system, I can click Find Contacts. And if I want to change the information that shows up in the list view, again, I can come into Manage Columns. So perhaps I don't want phone extension. Let's see, we can get quite creative here. I'm a pretty big fan of this whole new look. Let's say I want to put in Twitter. And again, I can change the sort order just by dragging and dropping here. I'll just save my columns now. And then the order and information changes for me. Again, I can print this up as a PDF, export as a CSV, and print my contact details. So all the same information and available printouts are available up in the top right. You can from here, as you could before, manage your flags. So flagging contacts, just a neat way for each individual in your company to maybe mark certain clients as maybe those that need follow-up, as their favorites, whatever the case may be. Each person who logs in can flag contacts as they see fit and unflag them from this list view as well. Okay, I just wanted to pop over and show you about finding estimates because there's some neat new features there. So if we hover over estimates and choose find estimate, so again, we can search by all the parameters we could before, but there's some additional fields down here that I think are going to be really useful. An example down here, estimate without job. So find only those estimates that don't have a job. I know that's something that other clients have asked for when they're looking to maybe clear out old estimates, see what estimates didn't turn into actual work. You can search specifically by estimates that didn't get turned into a job. And then you can look at estimates with approved revenue schedules only, another cool thing to search by. And again, if you find your estimates, let's say I just want to find my active ones, that's a nice new little button there. Again, we have this Manage Columns option to decide what to show in the list view. So I'm going to take away that Edit button. Let's say I don't need to show month close or probability percentage for myself, perhaps, or project, but again, lots of things by which I can narrow down my list view and change the order really, really easily just by dragging and dropping. And then I've got a whole different look. Now, the other cool thing I want to point out is that if I were to navigate away, let's say I were to go back to my dashboard here, and then search for estimates further down the road, or any of these other items I've searched for. If I come into estimates and choose find estimate, perhaps I narrow down my search in a different way by just wanting to look at approved estimates and hit find active again. The column choices I made are still here. So you don't have to recreate that manage columns area. This will be sort of my pre-saved list view. The last example I wanted to go through, and actually before I do that, Mark, anything that we should address or any questions, concerns before I move forward?
No questions have come in from the webinar, but I actually have a question myself that I'm curious about, and I think I probably know the answer to this. But the managed column sort that you're creating, is that system-wide or user-specific?
Oh, great question. User specific. So
Okay.
you aren't going to be deciding for the rest of your company what information appears or doesn't appear. People can decide for themselves, which is great because obviously different team members have different pieces of information that may or may not be important to them.
Okay. One other thing I wanted to mention that you kind of touched on as well, but I wanted to point out something that I like is that
Please.
the print option and the CSV option are no longer the little logos. They're now the actual words for print and CSV. And then also the print button, which used to be a little logo, the print button used to give you, like the list view itself, just kind of I was going to say random list of columns. So they weren't random. They were actually columns that, you know, our team determined would be important for you to see based on the module that you're searching in. However, now when you hit that print button, it's going to produce a PDF of basically what you're seeing on screen. So whatever custom column selection you make, whatever custom sort you put it in or order you put it in, as far as the columns from left to right and the sort, the rows up and down, that PDF is going to be exactly what you're seeing on screen, just in a PDF report. So it's no longer different than what you're seeing on screen, or stuck with that. You can, by changing the columns in the system, you're changing what the PDF will show, which is really nice.
Excellent. Thanks for pointing that out, Mark. I failed to touch upon that. Let's take our last example just with the job find. Now, job find is one I've always been a big fan of, and something that you will notice, or some of you may notice has changed, is that we used to have a little box on our job find screen that said editable list. Now, that feature does still exist. If you still have the permission setting to edit the job find list, it will still show for you, but it just shows slightly differently now. So again, on this job find screen, we can narrow down our search however we like, or just hit find active to find our active jobs, or find jobs to find all our jobs. I'm just going to hit find active for this example. And because I have the proper permissions, I land on a default view, but I can also very easily switch to the editable list view. So again, this editable list view does still exist. It is a permission-based feature. And with it, you have the option to come in and right from the list view, change the status, delivery date, or this bonus date description field. And as it used to work and does still work now, if you were to make a change, it saves the minute you leave that field. And as before, as Mark pointed out, we've got the nice word for print now in CSV instead of symbols, and all the same reports that we used to have, and if you have permission to see them, are all available up here in the top right, and you can see their name as you hover over there. And again, if
One
you're
thing
in,
that I love there
yeah,
too, sorry to interrupt
no,
you,
please.
it's kind of pointing out what people can see there anyways, but is the status. It's you have a lot better sorting abilities because it used to just be a color, green for active, red for non-active. But I mean, you might have 5 different statuses that are all considered active, and now finally, you can see those statuses, the actual names, and you can sort by it, and you don't have to produce that PDF to see what kind of active status it is. You can see that right on screen, which is it sounds super simple, but it's something that I've been looking for a while.
No, that's right. You used to have to, you'd see a little green button and sort of have to hover over to see if it was completed or open or whatever the status name may be. So that's a very, very good point as well. And I'm glad to see this here too. And as well, manage columns button, of course, to decide what information shows here in this list view. Excellent. Mark, anything else you think we should cover as list views, or should I pop us over to talk just a little bit about those minor changes to the financials pages?
That's everything I can think of. Again, if any of the attendees today do have any questions, please feel free to put them into the GoToMeeting question area or GoToWebinar question area, and I'll be happy to answer those for you.
Excellent. Thanks, Mark. So the last little thing I want to show everyone, I'm just going to go over to one of my example projects here. And something that we had clients asking for that I'm really glad we've been able to provide is from my project details page. Oh, sorry, bad mousing there. If we come into the job financials, we can now from this view compare hours. And this was something, again, that we had a few clients ask for, and I'm really pleased to see that we've been able to provide this to them. So right from this job financials view at the project level, I can see that I've estimated 156 hours worth of time, and I've only tracked 46 and a quarter hours worth of time. So a real big time saver. I know that a lot of us are big fans of this budget area up here to see dollar values, how we're doing on the dollar value budget wise. But hours was coming up again and again as something people were really hoping to see in just a quick summation view there as to what they've estimated versus what they've tracked so far to make sure that their project's on track time-wise. Mark, any questions, concerns about that? I'm a fan, and I know that the clients who'd asked for it are pretty happy with that. Do you think this is going to be something that you will see other clients be fans of as well as they start to use it and see it?
Yeah, for sure. And you pointed out some good points to me this morning when we were talking about it, just kind of how useful it is to being able to see those estimated hours without having to drill into it. And I think that a good example of how this would be useful will be for well, really any jobs where you have an hourly budget, like you said this morning, but then also retainers. I think retainers will be really helpful because it allows you to see the estimated hours without, that is going to be what you provide each month without having to drill into each one, and then though that start and end date field, those start and end date fields within the
Right.
financials tab are going to allow you to filter on a month by month basis and see, what did we spend in April, what did we spend in March, what did we spend in February, and see the budget of the retainer compared to the actual with like you said without having to drill into each one.
Excellent. And everyone else, if you're not using the project details level, you'll still get this functionality. It actually has been carried through to individual jobs as well. So I'm just going to navigate to my jobs tab here and just pick one of these jobs in my project, but it doesn't have to be a job in a project. I'm just going to pick on my spring sale brochure here. And from the financials tab for that individual job, we're getting the same nice summation view there. So 32 hours estimated versus 13 and 3/4 actually tracked so far. So again, really easy, not having to go and look up timesheets or drill in further to see the total number of hours you estimated versus what you've tracked thus far. And again, like Mark pointed out, that really neat little feature with the start and end date. So if this is a really long-term job, you can narrow it down to just see the numbers based on a month or a couple of months worth of time. Excellent. Well, we're only at not even 20 past, and I've gone through everything I wanted to show everybody. Um, should we let people go, Mark, or do you think there's something else that would be worth reviewing while we've got everyone on the line here?
Well, I mean, nothing really specific to the topic at hand. I mean, let's maybe leave it up for a bit more. If anybody does have any questions, they can feel free to ask those. This is one thing I want to mention is that this is a good example of the type of improvement we're trying to make around giving our clients more control over how they see the data and what they can do with it. But then more importantly, maybe not more importantly, but another note is that this is the beginning of our ability to provide you with the access to do custom reporting. So you being able to drag and drop columns into different orders and being able to choose what you're seeing on screen within the program. This is the launching point for us to be able to provide you with much better custom reporting features and capabilities in the future. And that isn't something that is in immediate development right now, but it is something that we're definitely wanting to accommodate down the road, and this is a good starting point for that. So just wanted to mention that. But I mean, other than that, I think we've covered everything well. If anybody has any questions, let us know, and we can answer those. I'm not sure if Emma, you have anything else to add in as well.
Let me just pop back to my PowerPoint presentation here, and there's our little, questions are welcome. And just this last slide I'll leave up. Again, if a question comes in, of course, we can pop back to my system. But do be encouraged to visit the FP help area. In fact, let me just point out where that is before I navigate too far away. From your system, you can always access help just by hovering over help and choosing training. You can also come into the community forum, which is where you can interact with other function point users, ask your question, make feature requests. And then what's new will always take you to the latest and greatest documents, videos, webinar recordings. This session is being recorded and that will be posted up to the what's new section later today. And then for current clients, if you have a technical issue, a glitch in the matrix, feel free to contact our support team and they'll always respond as quickly as they can. But lots of ways to do some self-guided learning or to get your questions answered or to interact with other function point users. So do be encouraged to use that help area. And get connected with us. We do have an FP blog with lots of great content, and we have a LinkedIn group, YouTube channels. So lots of ways to interact with us and get to know the FP system better. And of course, we're always willing to get an email or listen and help out as best we can. Excellent. Well, let's stop recording and leave this up. I'll leave this up for another 5-10 minutes. And then if people have questions, feel free to type them in. But mostly thanks to everyone for joining in today. And of course, big thanks to you, Mark, for chiming in with some really good points there today.
No problem. Thank you so much for your time, Emma, as well, and everyone that joined in. And yeah, let's see if we have any questions that do come in.
Great. Thanks, Mark.
No problem.